Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight Live here on KMTV. I'm Ollie Leader and here are your top stories on Tuesday, the 2nd of December. Early morning arrest. Thorold Road in Chatham cordoned off after stabbing.
I was just see it online first thing this morning. I was found out it's literally down my road.
Giving Santa a helping hand. Maidstone residents get into the season of giving.
And when we look back on this, probably in the new year, you'll find that Maidstone contributed quite a lot to the happiness of people at Maidstone.
A big deal. Band from East Kent Town heading up the Christmas chants. First tonight, a 19-year-old man's been stabbed to death in Chatham, and Kent police have cordoned off part of Thorold Road, with officers being seen coming and going from a property throughout the day. A murder investigation is underway and a suspect in his 30s has been arrested. Maisie Walker was at the scene for us earlier today.
Kent police were called at 3 a.m. this morning to reports of a serious assault in Chatham. As you can probably see from behind me, officers have cornered off Thorold Road and the junction near White Horse Hill. I arrived on the scene at around 10 a.m. where police, forensics and a search and marine unit were in attendance. Residents in the area said that they were shocked. A father of 3 told me that he doesn't let his children play outside because of the local behaviour.
I didn't hear or see anything. I was just see it online first thing this morning. I was found out it's literally down my road. I got my partner and my kids, and my little girl's 7. I don't let her play out the front because how rough it is, dangerous.
Another resident who lives just outside the cordon said it was up at 7:30. She added, "It's a bit scary. I've lived here all my life and we've not had something like this in ages. Usually there's trouble on the other end of the road, but not down here." Most residents did not want to go on camera, but a mother who moved to the area recently with her partner said, "We've only lived here a week. I've got a 7-year-old little girl, 14-year-old boy and a 23-year-old boy, so it's really scary. It's a bit too close for my liking." Another concerned mum walking past said, "I can't believe something has happened right there. It's too close." In a statement, Kent police have confirmed that officers and paramedics attended the scene where a man was treated for injuries consistent with stab wounds. A suspect in his 30s has been arrested in connection with the incident and inquiries are underway. In a recent update, police have confirmed that a 19-year-old man was killed. A spokesperson said officers attended alongside other emergency services and a young man was located inside the premises with injuries consistent with stab wounds. The victim was treated by paramedics, but was confirmed deceased at the scene. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Chatham.
More on that story when we have it. But now households in Tunbridge Wells are braced for yet another day without water, as problems at the Pembury treatment works continue. South East Water told residents that after reoccurring issues, the problem would not be resolved. After 4 days of issues for 14,000 households, which has forced schools to close and prompted calls for the South East Water CEO to go. Our reporter Chloe Brewster joined me in the studio earlier with all the details. Well, Chloe, the 4th day of water issues in Tunbridge Wells. Breakdown, what's the latest here?
So this morning, people in Tunbridge Wells are expecting their water to return. Obviously, it's been 4 days now since the water originally stopped being available in the area. So this afternoon, we received a further update from South East Water, who told us that the original chemical issue which caused Pembury treatment plant to shut down has actually been detected in the water that they were recharging, meaning the water isn't going to return to homes in Tunbridge Wells. And the properties that had had water return may lose that water once again. Many schools, businesses, public buildings and health settings remain closed. Yesterday I spoke to the Tunbridge Wells MP and he's called for David Hinton, the CEO of South East Water, now to resign.
So actually on the ground with the South East Water, the junior employees on the ground, they run the sites really efficiently. You can see behind us, you just drive in, they pick some water up, put it in your boot and you drive off. But actually at a leadership level, South East Water have totally failed to make sure there's an adequate supply of lorries coming to those sites. And the initial setup, the first one in St John's, only went live at about 11 o'clock on Sunday, and the two further ones were set up in the late afternoon. On Saturday, South East Water has set up a site in another town in Tunbridge. It's been an absolute disgrace.
You were on the ground there at the site. Can you explain what the impact has been on people in Tunbridge Wells?
Well, of course, there's been no running water, so people haven't been able to take a shower. There's been no central heating in many homes. Even making a cup of tea is a bit of a challenge. You know, people were really frustrated. I was at a water distribution site yesterday, and, you know, as many people were speaking to us in high spirits, hoping water would be turned back on yesterday, I can imagine that feeling isn't repeated onto today, especially hearing now that water isn't going to be returning, at least until tomorrow. Many of them are expressing how distrustful they've become of South East Water. You know, they've been given so many deadlines and none of them appear to be being met. There's extra news that the original chemical issue of the water has been detected once more. That is a definite kick in the teeth for some residents. Yesterday I spoke to a pub owner who told me she had no faith in South East Water.
We have someone having a wake here on Thursday. We have events on Friday, Saturday. I'm sure it won't go on that long. But the worrying thing is what if, you know, and we're sort of sat in limbo.
South East Water has told residents that they're incredibly sorry for what happens and that they'll be providing a further update at 6 p.m. So keep your eyes on Kent Online for that.
Chloe, thanks for all those details. Now, in other news, an over 21s bar in Sittingbourne has been under scrutiny for excessive noise and irresponsible bottomless brunches. Lang's Bar and Cocktail Lounge is known to serve unlimited drink promotions, and the owner, Mr. Dawson, has admitted that such events are attended by under 21s, something that goes directly against the terms of their licence agreement. The neighbouring Travelodge Hotel also gave 10 examples where poor reviews mentioned the noise from the bar in the early hours of the morning. On November 24th, Swales Licensing Subcommittee met to review the licence, but no action was taken. Now, the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother in Margate and William Harvey in Ashford are just two hospitals set to benefit from a major £29 million funding boost. The money is aimed at tackling long waiting times and improving care. We'll see key facilities modernised to help patients with same-day emergency care. Local medical staff say the investment could transform the patient experience, cutting delays and helping people get the care they need a lot sooner. Now, plans have emerged to formally merge two secondary schools under one roof. The Beyond Schools Trust wants to unite the girls' school Walderslade School with the neighbouring boys' school, Greenacre School in Chatham, to create one single co-educational school from September next year. Both schools are already part of the Walderslade and Greenacre Schools partnership, and the move is to subject consultation from parents, staff, governors and the wider Chatham community. And the information evening is being held on the 17th of December. Maidstone Borough Council's Christmas Hub has returned, allowing residents to donate a wide range of charities, from Mid-Kent Mine to Maidstone Street Pastors. Our community reporter Henry Luck has been finding out why the donations make such a big difference every single year.
December and the hunt for Christmas presents is finally on, but for many across Maidstone, it's impossible to find gifts whilst making ends meet. That's where Maidstone Borough Council's Christmas Hub comes in. This scheme, which has been running for the past 3 years now, allows Maidstone residents to donate a variety of items from food, toys and games towards charities across the town to give those who are struggling this Christmas.
For some of them, Christmas can be a really lonely time. Knowing that people in their community have thought about them and have donated these wonderful gifts is really humbling. And on Christmas Day, when they open a gift and they know that somebody that they don't know personally has taken time to buy that for them and it's then been wrapped, a label put on with their name, is really lovely, and it shows them that they're not forgotten.
Unlike some of the other charities here, we're after really specific things like instant hot foods that we use for our street population. A lot of us are tucking into Christmas dinners and things. Some of our street population don't have anything, so when we're out on a Saturday night, we can help them with instant hot food.
Although donations have decreased significantly compared to previous years, the Borough Council remains confident that it can still make a positive impact in the community.
Well, they might be a bit low at the moment. You probably saw the street pastors on the first day didn't have nothing, but the next day they had £1,000 worth of stuff come in. So it's a day by day. It can't really judge it till it's finished, but in my personal view, people at Maidstone are very generous, and when we look back on this, probably in the new year, you'll find that Maidstone contributed quite a lot to the happiness of people at Maidstone.
The hub will be open until Saturday, the 6th of December. With the big day fast approaching, many are hoping for a miracle on Maidstone Street. Henry Luck for KMTV in Maidstone.
Always wonderful to see such amazing work in Maidstone, but we'll be back after the break with more news. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Today marks 1 year since a devastating fire at Canterbury's former Debenhams department store, which went up in flames after a suspected arson attack. I was on the scene at the time, and here's the report we produced in the aftermath of the fire. Caught on camera, one of Kent's most famous high streets burning into the night. 50 firefighters and 8 fire engines were called to Canterbury city centre after a derelict department store caught fire. As the smoke cleared this morning, the flames were under control, but far from out, with police cordons blocking off Canterbury's main throughway.
There have been fires, but I haven't seen one on the high street, no. And I've been here for 74 years.
It's empty. No one. It was only discovered late last night, I believe. But an empty building has got risk of fire because no one's keeping an eye on it.
It's ruined. About 4 hours this morning. I need to get to the bank to rectify an error, a payment error that they've made on my account. And I can't do that now.
Just over my shoulder you can see Kent Fire and Rescue hard at work. Dozens have been tackling the fire that broke out in the old Debenhams building since last night, with at least 20 people being forced out of their homes by the fire. But from what we've been hearing, it could have actually been much worse, despite much of the high street being cordoned off.
So we evacuated about 9 flats in the close proximity, about 30 people. But if we hadn't have acted in an assertive, safe and effective manner, this would have seen the whole block destroyed, which would have been devastating for the city of Canterbury.
And for the businesses based in the historic buildings near the fire, those fears were felt firsthand.
About 3 o'clock in the morning, I got a message from one of my colleagues saying, be aware that Central Canterbury is ablaze. That was the expression he used. We're very worried about the whole city going up because it's all wood around here and it may look like brick, it's all mathematical tile and cover. And if there was such a thing as backdraft or flashback, it would catch all these buildings alight.
Residents will be allowed to return to their homes when the fire is finally out. Only then will investigators be able to start piecing together exactly what caused Canterbury to have such a narrow escape. Oliver Leader de Sat for KMTV. Well, Naila Mohammed joins me with more details on this. You can see some of the devastation right here. Break down exactly what happened that fateful night.
So it was a year ago today where the Debenhams department store in Canterbury went up in flames in what was a suspected arson attack. And this was very much Canterbury's go-to shopping outlet, shopping destination. And now it's just home to the pigeons and to some very bored teenagers. I mean, the insides, the walls are littered with graffiti, you know, expletive language and really crude imagery. And the windows have been smashed in, as you can see on the imagery there. So 3 children were arrested shortly after the supposed attack had happened, aged 16, 15 and 12, and they remain on bail for the moment.
And a year on, why hasn't anything been done? Obviously, there's a big issue with vacant buildings in Kent's towns and city. What's holding up redevelopment here? Well,
there were plans to turn this into the Guildhall Quarter, which would have added more shops and some more residences, some flats to the area. It would have been a multi-million-pound project, but the project was derailed due to water pollution issues in Stockmarsh. And it doesn't just impact Canterbury, but thousands of homes across the east of Kent have been impacted by this. Their plans have had to pause, and no one can build their homes until certain mitigation measures have been approved. The owners of the development haven't commented on further plans since the fire, but the council reassures that they're in regular communication with the owners. But officials do say there is a solution coming in the works. But for residents who have seen the fire happen and have seen the aftermath of the fire, they're not convinced about the supposed plans.
Let's delve into that. You heard in my piece how upset people were on the day. How are people feeling a year on in the cathedral city?
Well, Ollie, it's exactly the same. They're honestly just embarrassed at the situation, the fact that nothing has been done. Stuart Ross from the Canterbury Commemoration Society, he very much said it's, in his words, disgraceful that nothing has been done about this. And he's very much mortified when Queen Camilla, all she had to do was drive past the building, which is very much charred, and it wasn't something that she should have seen, according to him, but he's very much mortified that that was the case. And then local historians say the building is also a stark contrast, and it's ruining the kind of the aesthetic of, like you said, the cathedral city. Because it should have been developed, it should have been turned into these new shops and these new flats, but it hasn't, and nothing has changed. And there are many fears that if the owners kind of let the building stay in its condition or worsen condition, that it's going to have to be demolished, which conservationists are worried, consider that a crime, because I think it's very much got an Art Deco history that should be commemorated and remembered.
Naylor, thanks for those details. Fingers crossed for people in Canterbury. Now, with more on what's going on across the county sports scene, here's a little bit of a sports roundup for you.
Gillingham's manager Gareth Ainsworth was delighted with Gareth McCleary's performance on the weekend in the 3v3 draw against Shrewsbury United. This was the winger's first full match for the Gills after being signed over the summer, scoring twice and assisting the late equaliser. Ainsworth believes McCleary to be well beyond League Two when at his best, likening him to a swift and nimble deer, even at the age of 38. McCleary is on a one-year contract with the Gills and has previously played for the likes of Nottingham Forest, Reading and even the international Jamaican team. Kent local Yates Martial Arts found success representing England at the WUKF European Championships in Latvia. The biggest achievement on the team came from Holly Pratt, who became the European champion in kata and the runner-up in combat. Plenty of other medals were earned by the rest of the team, with James May's silver in kata and bronze in combat, as well as Sensei Vicky Yates' silver and bronze in the senior division, just to name a few. Yates Martial Arts have dojos in Wilmington, Hartley and New Ash Green. One spokesman said their performances have brought pride to the local area and excitement for what the future holds. Back to football. Ebbsfleet United's manager Josh Wright expressed frustration after this weekend's 1v1 draw against Farnborough. Ebbsfleet once again struggled to fully utilise their many chances, with Wright angered at the reoccurring problem, stating that the team should have had a minimum of 8 or 10 more goals this season. Fleet have only picked up 4 points from their past 4 games, placing them at 9th in the table. Finally, with cricket, seam bowler Matt Quinn has penned a new 2-year contract for Kent, despite bowling only 60 overs in the County Championship Division 2 this year due to recent injuries. These injuries have plagued the New Zealand-born player in the last couple of years, causing him to miss the entire 2024 campaign. The 32-year-old joined in 2021 and has a record of 103 wickets over 58 appearances for Kent. Quinn has shown further commitment to the county by joining the club's Talent Pathway programme and teaching young bowling talent.
That's Joel Fletcher with a sport for you. But now a Dover charity has launched a blessing bag appeal to support rough sleepers during the festive season. The scheme invites residents to donate essential items such as warm clothing, toiletries and snacks to help those facing homelessness stay safe and warm this winter. Volunteers say the bags will make a real difference to people sleeping rough at a time of the year when cold weather and isolation can make life especially hard. Jerry Golden from Emmanuel's Dover discussed the campaign with us earlier on.
Yeah, so locally, Dover Emmaus, we run a social enterprise business here to raise funds for the housing that we have in the community. So we house 27 companions, we call them, who are ex-homeless people who contribute by working in the retail part of the shop. They have a room to themselves, share facilities, they get fed here. So we have people cooking in the kitchens, companions can cook. They learn new skills, so retail or workshop, etc., to enable them to then move on into a paid job outside of the community. But it's a safe haven for them. The downside is we've only got 27 rooms. If we had 1,000, wouldn't it be great?
Now in jollier festive news, how many of Santa's reindeer can you name? other than Rudolph. With the lead up to Christmas, we took to the streets of Rochester, asking Christmas shoppers how many flying friends Santa has and how many they could name.
12?
Can you name them all?
Oh no, 7 maybe. I don't know. No, Rudolph, Dancer, Prancer. That's about it.
12. It's 12, isn't it?
Dancer,
Prancer, Rudolph.
So Rudolph, obviously.
Dasher.
Dasher, Dancer. Prancer, Vixen.
Blitzen.
Blitzen, Donna, Cupid. 8? 8? Is that 8? I'm not sure.
Yeah, the red-nosed one. That's the one I know.
That's one
Well, if you look to the sky tonight, will we be seeing any reindeer? Here's the weather. Unfortunately, it's a particularly rainy and cloudy night all across Kent. Temperatures range between 7 and 11 degrees. Wind speeds in the west at 5 degrees and 11 degrees towards Margate and Dover in the east. Tomorrow morning, temperatures will slightly drop, ranging between 7 and 9 degrees with mostly cloudy skies with some light showers in the east as well. And towards the evening, temperatures will rise to an average of 9 degrees with light showers in Mayton and Canterbury and a cloudy forecast for the rest of the country. I can't see the weather graphic moving, so you have to follow my voice on this one. Wind speeds around 10 miles per hour in the east and a bit lower at 7 in the west. And let's take a look at your outlook. Light rain on Thursday and Friday as well. But that's everything for this part of Kent tonight. But join us in a few minutes' time for more news. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Here's a reminder of your top stories on Tuesday, the 2nd of December. Early morning arrest, Thorold Road in Chatham cordoned off after stabbing. Giving Santa a helping hand, Maidstone residents get into the season of giving. And a big deal band from East Kent Town heading up the Christmas charts. But our top story tonight, a 19-year-old man has been stabbed to death in Chatham. Kent police have cordoned off part of Thorold Road and officers have been seen coming and going from a property throughout the day. A murder investigation is underway and a suspect in his 30s has been arrested. But our reporter Maisie Walker was at the scene for us on this story.
Kent police were called at 3 a.m. this morning to reports of a serious assault in Chatham. As you can probably see from behind me, officers have cornered off Thorold Road and the junction near White Horse Hill. I arrived on the scene at around 10 a.m. where police, forensics and a search and marine unit were in attendance. Residents in the area said that they were shocked. A father of 3 told me that he doesn't let his children play outside because of the local behaviour.
I didn't hear or see anything. I was just see it online first thing this morning. I was found out it's literally down my road. I got my partner and my kids, and my little girl's 7. I don't let her play out the front because how rough it is, dangerous.
Another resident who lives just outside the cordon said it was up at 7:30. She added, "It's a bit scary. I've lived here all my life and we've not had something like this in ages. Usually there's trouble on the other end of the road, but not down here." Most residents did not want to go on camera, but a mother who moved to the area recently with her partner said, "We've only lived here a week. I've got a 7-year-old little girl, 14-year-old boy and a 23-year-old boy. So it's really scary. It's a bit too close for my liking." Another concerned mum walking past said, "I can't believe something has happened right there. It's too close." In a statement, Kent police have confirmed that officers and paramedics attended the scene where a man was treated for injuries consistent with stab wounds. A suspect in his 30s has been arrested in connection with the incident and inquiries are underway. In a recent update, police have confirmed that a 19-year-old man was killed. A spokesperson said officers attended alongside other emergency services and a young man was located inside the premises with injuries consistent with stab wounds. The victim was treated by paramedics but was confirmed deceased at the scene. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Chatham.
More on that story when we have it. But with the budget released last week and Black Friday over the weekend, we caught up with Tudor Price from the Invicta Chamber of Commerce to break down all the business news of the last few weeks.
There was also a bit of an anticlimax, I guess, really. There was a sense of indifference because there was nothing in there for growth. I mean, all the businesses was delighted not to have to sort of be shelling out any more cash and they can plan forward a bit easier now for the future. But yeah, for a chancellor that seemed to be sort of saying the economy and growth of the economy is really the key to all the public services, there didn't seem to be a huge amount to sort of try and encourage businesses to sort of adopt that growth. Having said that, we are also aware that there's a number of elements around the sort of savings gap. So people have saved quite a bit, so maybe they'll feel confident now post-budget to actually go out and spend.
And as I mentioned before, we do have that business rate relief. Obviously, there are lots of high streets where it's expensive to run a business, particularly because of those business rates. Is that going to be a boost for small businesses or potentially even hospitality in some of our busier tourist towns?
So the businesses we've spoken to, retail, hospitality and leisure, they are obviously grateful for that continued exemption and sort of reductions on the business rates. But what they didn't see, what they had been asking for quite a long time, was a reduction in the VAT rate to really try and help sort of combat some of the rising costs that their supply chain has seen. Now, the retail, hospitality and leisure sector is critical and really important, particularly this time of year. But what we didn't see was any sort of real relief for some of the larger businesses that are about to sort of see their multiplier suddenly jump. And so we're seeing some very large businesses here in Kent are facing some tremendous increases in their business rates.
There is one big thing that might help people out, and that's the tourism levy. If angled right, it will give money to councils who then put it back into the local economy. Do you think that a tourism levy, if done right, could help places like, for example, Canterbury or Folkestone, which do have a huge tourist sector? Or do you think it's going to be yet another burden on footfall for those big areas?
I think the evidence would suggest it works. Looking at other sort of more popular holiday destinations, Venice, of course, famously levied the charge quite high. And I think that's sort of demonstrated that as a particular methodology of trying to fund local sort of opportunities of investment, it works really well. It's all a question of how it's spent and how it's levied, because you don't want it to be a disincentive. And of course, we need to make sure that we are providing real value for money and encouraging people to sort of choose the heart of Kent rather than go into London.
What do you think your big predictions will be for the economy here in Kent off the back of this tax-raising budget?
So this whole budget was geared towards the markets. It was about giving peace of mind, confidence to the markets, particularly the bond markets. And all of that is against the backdrop of the government's ambition to try and attract foreign inward investment. Now, the big infrastructure projects we've got here in Kent, Lower Thames Crossing, Gatwick North, and a few others to boot, I think if that strategy pays off, which we all hope it will do, and it attracts that foreign direct investment, I think Kent is actually looking quite well positioned for a really good year.
And let's talk about something perhaps a bit more positive for consumers. It's nearly Christmas and we've just had Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And I have to ask, are these just fads? Do they actually benefit businesses or consumers here in Kent?
So historically, they do work, but they work, and as you say, it is a trend. It's a period of time for which they will be really, really beneficial. The balance to be struck really is that if you sort of signal quite early on, you've got major discounts coming. Of course, most consumers think, well, I'm not going to buy now. I'm going to wait for as it was, the Boxing Day sales or the New Year's sales, and now, of course, it's Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So what happens is you start to sort of just delay, so you have a significant drop in footfall, but that's then remedied by a massive uptick in sort of consumer spend on those given days. It will work, and it does work overall on balance. It's definitely a good thing for retailers at the moment. It works really, really well. But I think, as always, consumers become savvy and will start to sort of realise, actually, those deals aren't quite as good as they look at face value, but also if I maybe hold on to my pennies and wait for a better deal. So I think retailers will then, again, it's almost like a bit of cat and mouse, really. But I think at the moment, it's a great deal for both consumers and retailers.
Do you think that, you hear it all the time, you're in the supermarket or the shops, there's Christmas music blaring out as early as October sometimes. Are businesses getting on the Christmas hype train a little too soon sometimes?
I don't think they are, really. There are people that I work with who are just so excited about Christmas, they would start it in Easter if they could. So I guess it's appealing to different parts of the society. But retailers have had a bit of a tough time, even sort of post-COVID, although we're a few years on, there's still a legacy to be had there, rising costs in terms of supply chain. So I'm not going to knock anybody that wants to start playing sort of fairy tale of New York in the middle of October.
Now, as communities across Kent reflect on the year and look ahead to Christmas, messages of unity and hope are being shared by people of all faiths. Gravesend is home to one of the UK's largest Sikh communities, and families as a Sikh faith are preparing to mark the season in their own way, drawing on traditions that focus on service, reflection and supporting those in need. Amid a year marked by social tensions and rising hate crime, community leaders say those shared values of peace and compassion resonate far beyond any single faith, as our reporter Bethan Bush-Ells been finding out.
Welcome to Sri Guru Nanak Darbar, the largest Sikh temple in Europe and a pillar of the community here in Gravesend and beyond. And like many religious groups across the county, they are preparing for a busy December.
For Sikhs, the whole month of December we refer to as Shahidi month, which is really a month of martyrdom and kind of sadness, with the martyrdom of the 4 sons of Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Guru. So that's quite a key sort of part of the year for us in reflecting on their sacrifices.
A key part of this will include reflecting on what has been a difficult year for many minority religious groups in Kent and across the UK.
Here in Kent, in Gravesend area, we have fairly good community relations with all communities, but we know of incidents across the Midlands and other parts of the country where people have been victim to racial hatred. And we've had some incidents locally as well, but not to the same extent. But we have to work hard. We sort of work with all the different faith groups. We had an interfaith group here where we come together and share information with each other, knowledge, try to break down the barriers.
Essential to fostering these strong community relations is the charity work that is central to the practices and teachings of Sikhism.
We are trying to encourage a lot of charity work, so we are well known. As you know, this is the biggest Sikh Gurdwara in Europe. So, you know, all the communities are fully aware what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve, get other communities involved as well, you know, with the Gurdwara. So we're trying to do much as possible.
Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhi, one of his main key points was that everyone should be a good human being first and foremost. Whatever faith you are, just be a good human being. So if you're a Christian, be a good Christian. If you're a Muslim, be a good Muslim. We would never say to you, become a Sikh. If you want to, you're welcome to, but be a good human being first and foremost.
And you can catch the rest of that Kent Tonight special at 7 p.m. tonight, right here on KMTV. We still have more news to come here on Kent Tonight. Join us in a few minutes' time. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight. KMFM's Give a Gift annual campaign has reached the £10,000 milestone as part of its Christmas donation appeal. The festive campaign, which launched on the 17th of November, has been flooded with dozens of donations. The money raised allows teams to deliver toys and gifts to young people who face difficult circumstances over the Christmas period. Now, after the break, there'll be a brand new episode of News Nuggets, covering important topics all across Kent for primary school children. News Nuggets tackles stories about local politics and democracy and allows our younger generation to explore the importance of our local area. From elections to food waste to who runs our sports clubs, each episode takes a deep dive into anything and everything about how our county runs. This week, Abby is finding out more about farming, food poverty and food waste, but here's a sneak peek into our next episode.
In this episode, we'll be learning about food poverty and food waste. Let's start with food poverty. More and more people are struggling to pay for their food shops.
All right, we've got our box for our food parcel. Should we get some fruit and veg in it? Yeah? All right, we'll start with the mountain of avocados here. Fred, go on and grab those rolls, put those in the box.
The fuel that heats up your home and the electricity that gives you Wi-Fi and keeps your lights on because you use them more in the winter, they're more expensive. Prices are also going up because of things going on in the world. This includes the petrol that gets you to and from school.
What do you do with food waste and what can we do?
If we have too much food, we're gonna give this to charity. Do not buy more food than you need it. Or if it's mouldy or raw, it is composted.
In the UK, we waste almost 10 million tonnes of food a year. That's 2 million elephants or 1,000 Eiffel Towers. I met Debbie from food charity FareShare and Farmer John to ask what farms should do with all their leftovers.
It looks like there's a lot of apples here that are going to go to waste.
It's disappointing.
There you go. Perfect snack for a lunchbox. Right, cheers.
A small one?
Cheers.
Please.
Since our episode is all about food today, we've invited a farmer into the studio. Joseph, thank you very much for joining us. How young were you when you decided farming was for you?
Oh, probably when I was born, to be honest. Like, when I just been surrounded by it all, it's taken me. The bug got me.
And now you're destined to drive a tractor, that's the next thing you want to do?
Next year, when I'm 16, I'll be able to take my tractor licence test.
All right, final question on our catch-up quiz. Fish and chips are the best school dinner, true or false?
It's got to be true, hasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, Fish and Chip Friday?
Yeah.
It looks great, doesn't it? But now it's time to take a very quick look at the weather. It's a particularly rainy and cloudy night all across Kent. Temperatures range between 7 and 11 degrees. Into tomorrow morning, we've got a yellow weather alert for rain, cloud and rain across the county, particularly into the afternoon. 10 degrees down in Dover, 9 elsewhere. And the rest of the week isn't looking great for the weather either. Rain on Thursday, Friday and a bit of cloud on Saturday for good measure too. And finally, Christmas has come early for Kent band Daniel Takes a Train, who have found success in the UK Heritage Charts more than 40 years after forming. The group, whose members come from Deal and Walmer, first played together in the 80s, and their latest album has seen a surge of festive support. Their single, Just Like Patsy Cline, is a retro pop song with a country twist that has charmed listeners from over 100 countries. But let's take a listen because it is very catchy.
'Cause love is gonna get you now. 'Cause love is gonna get you now.
Talk more about this. I'm joined by one of the band members, Paul Baker. Paul, how does it feel knowing your song is playing at #1 after decades on the music scene?
It's crazy, Ollie. I mean, we keep pinching ourselves. We just can't believe that 41 years after we formed, that suddenly we're #1 in the charts. It's an amazing feeling. Absolutely fantastic.
What do you think has made this song so popular? It has a pretty good hook, but what do you think has really driven these charts, these sales, these listens?
I think people have love the 80s, and I think we're an 80s band, and you can't take the 80s out of an 80s band. So it's got that sort of retro feel. It's hopefully got a nice catchy hook, and it's got the nostalgia as well. I mean, a lot of people reminisce and remember the lovely days of Patsy Cline, and I think we've kind of crossed genres really, and that's probably why it's been so popular.
Right, take me back to the heyday of the 80s. 'Cause obviously, your band's been going for quite a while. How did it form, and what sort of antics did you get up to back in the day?
Well, it was Dan and myself met at the Marquee Club many years ago, and we both loved music. He played this charming man down the phone by the Smiths to me, and I said, that's what I want to be. I want a jangly pop song band. So we formed in '84. We had some really good success. We played at Ronnie Scott's, the Empire Leicester Square, the Astoria. Perhaps our biggest caper was when we gate crashed the Brit Awards in 1987. We saw Meatloaf had a party of 10 ladies with him, and we thought, let's just jump on the end and blag it into the event. So we got into the event. We gave out our cassettes, because it was cassettes in those days, to all of the different dignitaries from the music industry. Got photos with Alison Moyet and the Pet Shop Boys, you may have seen there, and Wet, Wet, Wet. And we heard on Radio 1 the next day that Peter Powell, the Radio 1 DJ, said it was the best part of the Brits when this young band gate crashed their way past security. But sadly, Dan got a job in Barcelona, and in '88 we disbanded, and we thought that's it really, and we got on with our lives, got married, had kids, and did normal jobs. And then the drummer in 2018 set up a Facebook page with the one video we'd ever shot and a few little pictures of us in the band and what have you. We had 55 followers, and suddenly a German record label got in contact and said, we love this sound that you've got on this video. I sent them 20 tracks, I think it was 20 tracks, and they came back 3 days later and said, we want to sign you. So we got signed 30 years after we'd split up, and it all went a bit crazy. But on the back of that, we reformed. We did 3 sellout gigs at the Troubadour. We brought that new album out that just popped up there called Style, Charm and Commotion, with all of the tracks from back in the day. And then we started writing again. And this song we've had 5 top 10s in the Heritage chart, but this is the first one that's ever gone to, funnily enough, we knocked Wet, Wet, Wet off the #1 spot. And we met them at the Brits in 38 years earlier. So life has a funny way of turning round and going full circle. So it's just amazing. We're absolutely buzzing, as you can imagine, to have had this success so late in life.
And it's amazing, isn't it?
We've got a new album out.
It's amazing to kind of see these kind of these were your contemporaries back in the day, and your music's still being listened to by everyone, and it is really interesting. Was it different getting the band back together? Was it kind of like slipping back into the old groove, as it were?
Yeah, it was just like we'd known each other all our lives, and it's fantastic that you've got that camaraderie and friendships. I mean, a lot of friendships don't last 40 years, and it's great that we're sort of still doing it together, and we're still friends after, because in the music industry, you've all got different sort of ideas about music, but Dan and I are the main songwriters, and we've kept going. And I think Dan said the other day that he thinks that our writing's getting better. So hopefully that seems to be the case with the chart positions. So we're absolutely delighted, and we've got a new album coming out next week called The Hit Parade with 11 tracks on, including the #1 hit single, Just Like Patsy Cline. We're really excited about doing some gigs next year, and getting on the road and actually sort of performing to audiences. So really exciting times.
Obviously, it's not the same music environment that your band started in all those years ago. You could probably do a sellout tour of Kent back then. Nowadays, there are only a handful of reasonably sized venues dotted about. How have things changed, do you think, in this music industry? Because you were there now and you're here then.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, in those days, you know, we were playing Ronnie Scott's Empire Leicester Square Astoria, and we kind of we thought that the chance had come and gone, to be honest with you. And now, after lockdown, the music venues are not so great. But then, having said that, I was at the Astor Theatre in Deal last night seeing Squeeze play. So, you know, that would be a great thing for us to perhaps have a chance to play somewhere like that. So, I think we've just got to take it bit by bit. We're writing new songs and just enjoy the moment. I think we've learnt in this industry that you can never kind of get too excited because bubbles burst very quickly. But we're just enjoying the moment. I think that's the key to this success that we've had, and you know, long may it continue.
Well, it's been great speaking to you. Wishing your band all the very best. Hopefully, we'll see you on tour next year as well. Thanks so much, Paul. Brilliant.